Welcome to the Becoming Sound podcast, where we dive into the tough stuff and try to find the humor in the hot mess of being an adult child. Join me as we peel back the layers on growing up in dysfunction, navigating substance abuse, mental health challenges, and everything in between. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Becoming Sound podcast. I'm Krista, your host, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. If you're new here, welcome. It is nice to have you, and thank you for spending some time with me. My guest today is Dr. Janelle Martin. She is a licensed counselor. I hope I don't screw this up. Certified IASIS microcurrent neurofeedback provider and a doctor of functional medicine. She is the founder of The Mind Connection. It is a holistic mental health practice based in Houston, Texas, where she helps clients heal from trauma, addiction, and emotional dysregulation using an integrative mind-body approach. What really caught my attention, and one of the many reasons I wanted Janelle to come on the show, is because she is also the parent of a daughter in recovery. Janelle wrote a book with her daughter called Losing Her, Finding Us. It is a very powerful memoir chronicling her daughter's battle with addiction and their family's journey to healing. With deep empathy and hard-earned wisdom, Janelle now advocates for families navigating similar paths, offering practical support and hope. Her work combines clinical expertise with personal experience to meet others in their pain and walk with them towards recovery. I am so honored to have Janelle speak here about her experience today. And just a note, there is a little powerful video on YouTube. I will put the link in the show notes. It is called The Neurobiology of Addiction. And if you are interested in learning more about any kind of addiction and how it affects the human brain and the body, it is definitely a must watch. So check that out. But for now, let's get started with Dr. Janelle Martin. Welcome,
Okay.
Janelle, and I'm so happy to have you here today with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So I want you
Yeah.
to just start out, tell everyone who you are, kind of what you do, and then you can get into a little bit of your story, because I don't want to give the book away because it's really good.
Okay. Well, I'm Janelle Martin. I live in a suburb of Houston, Texas, called Magnolia. My kids were born and raised here. I was born and raised in Iowa, but I've been in Texas for a really long time. So I've been through a lot of things in my life. So my life experiences are the reason that I do what I do now. I currently own a holistic mental health practice in Houston. I help people mostly with brain healing using microcurrent neurofeedback.
Okay.
I'm also a licensed professional counselor, a licensed chemical dependency counselor, a Dr. Amen certified brain health professional. I have a lot of credentials behind my name. I'm a doctor of functional medicine now as well, trying to help people get off of medications and
Mm-hmm.
help their body heal naturally. And then also, if you're on medications, help them get off, but also help people not have to take medications.
Right.
That is stemming from my addiction background, going through addiction with my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and really doing a lot of research. But I was more holistic prior to that, but really understanding what medications and drugs, they all do detrimental things to the brain and the body. So
Yeah.
even if they're seem like they're helping one thing, they're usually causing problems elsewhere. And so our approach to everything, mental health especially, is anti or getting people off of medications so we can be the healthiest version of ourselves that we can be.
Yeah.
And like I said, that was born out of my really hard experiences. So had it not been for my daughter's drug addiction, I have no idea how I would have gotten to where I'm at today. So
Yeah.
this has been a 6.5 year journey now of me starting my practice and growing my practice. And I don't want to give too much away, but my daughter now works with me, and she's been with me now
Yeah.
for almost 3.5 years. So
That's
um,
amazing.
that is a miracle in
That is
itself.
amazing. Yes. I love to hear success stories like that. It's so important, for people to hear that there is hope and there is something on the other side, right? Yeah, just having hope is so important. There was a quote on your website that you said about people going through this, walking out with buckets of water for the people who are still in the fire.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can't stress that enough. That's what I try to do here, and I know that's what you're doing as well, and
Yeah.
we need so many more people who are carrying the buckets of water.
We really do.
Yeah.
I will tell you, just through that experience with my daughter, the biggest help for me, the thing that really pulled me through was those parents in those parent support group meetings who had been there before me and were just a little bit further down the road. And some of them, had been through their journey. Their child was sober and they were doing really well. Those people were the people that threw the buckets of water on me and got me through, because I feel like without that, I don't know if I'd still be in a heap in my closet or something. Like, I
Yeah.
just don't know how else I would have got here. Maybe I would have gotten through it, but I don't think I would be thriving as I
Mhm.
am now.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a difference there of, surviving but thriving is even better. And
Yeah,
what
it's
is
a
that?
very different place. Surviving and thriving is totally different, and I think for the most part, when you're a parent, all you're thinking about in the moment when you're in the thick of it is surviving it.
Yes,
And you don't really even give a thought to how do you thrive in this? We live in a heightened emotional state at all times, right?
very much so,
Yeah.
especially in crisis. I mean, drug addiction is life or death for so many. And it keeps you stuck in that, how to save somebody's life. So you're
Yeah.
not thinking about your own, you're thinking about theirs, especially if it's your
Yeah.
child. But if it's any loved one, you're thinking about their life.
Yeah, for sure. So you wrote a book called Losing Her, Finding Us, and I am in the middle of it. Well, I think I'm towards the end. I don't know it.
You read it
Um, but
fast.
it's been great. I want you to talk a little bit about how this came about, like how you and your daughter decided you were going to do this.
Yeah, it's really interesting. After she got sober the second time, we ended up on a podcast, and this was sort of a whim. It was after she was sober the second time, and she finally finished high school. She got her GED, and we did a photo shoot, and we
Mhm.
celebrated her finally finishing high school. And she was almost 19 at the time. So, I mean, it took her a little while to finish. And I let her pick out her cap and gown off Amazon so she could do any color she wanted. It was not traditional at all. We even brought her um, recovery symbols, like her chips and things from AA, and we incorporated it into the photo shoot. And the photographer was just this amazing young girl, and the
Mhm.
photos turned out great. And I had sort of put those photos out when we got them back because they were so amazing, and I wanted to share them. And so that was kind of when we opened it up to the world, that this was our journey, and this was
Mhm.
um, her in recovery, and we were celebrating that. And shortly after that, I had reached out to, I guess, an influencer on social media because she was looking for guests for her podcast,
Mhm.
and some people that have been through some hard things. And I figured my journey with my daughter's drug addiction was pretty hard. So I reached out
Yeah.
and they chose us. And so we ended up, I had a
Nice.
kind of really carefully ask my daughter if she wanted to do the interview, and she did. And so we did that. And after we
Mhm.
did that, it went really, really well. It was just very, I think, powerful, us both telling our
Mhm.
sides of what we went through, because we did not see things the same way. And of course we wouldn't. I'm a parent and she's a child. So of course it's different, but I just don't think people understand how different it is.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
after that, I had the idea of writing a book that was from both perspectives. It truly was the book that I wanted to read when I was early on trying to educate
Mhm.
myself and find out as much information as I could find out about what is addiction, what is recovery. I don't know anything about anything. How do I save my daughter? But I always had questions whether the book was written by the loved one who had somebody with suffering
Mhm.
with addiction, or if it was written by the recovering person about their experience. I really had questions about the family. Where was the parents? What was going on? I had a lot of questions. So I wanted the book that had both. So
Mhm.
after we did that interview, I came up with the idea myself of writing a book, and I wanted us to write it separately. So I would write my story and then she would write hers, and then we would have some third party put it together
Oh,
and
wow.
do it that way.
Yeah.
And so she came to me not long after I had that idea, and she had the same idea. So we both had the same idea. But I started writing, and I had written about 6 of the first 5 or 6 chapters, and she was trying to write, but she never considered herself a writer, so she never really got going on the writing part, and I tabled mine because I thought, "I don't know how to publish a book. This really isn't my profession."
Yeah.
Um, so I just kind of set it aside. She didn't really do her she goes back to college, like, she's busy and working and everything. So, fast forward about 5 years, get an email from Hope Books, who is a publisher, and it was invited to, contribute a chapter to a collaborative book, which I thought, "I could do that," and I didn't write about my daughter because that was gonna be its own book. That was
Right.
mined as its own book. So, wrote a chapter about something else, my son, and then it got me into, I might as well finish this book because 'cause they'll publish it for me. And
Mhm.
so I wrote the rest of the book, and then I went back and I read each chapter to my daughter. Her name's Reagan. I read each chapter to her, and then I interviewed her and transcribed the interview and wrote, and that's her part of the book. So it truly is
Nice.
words, and she didn't have to do any writing, and um, and I got to just talk with her because what
Mhm.
she got to read or hear what I had written and give me
Yeah.
her perspective on the same thing. So hopefully it makes sense as we go through each chapter that it's over that same basic time period.
Yeah, it does for sure, but I really wanna stress I actually really love that part. I wasn't expecting it, but what happens is it just gives you an insight into their thought process. I know what I'm feeling as a mom,
Right.
same as you, but all of a sudden you have the person who's going through this, and she was young at the time,
Mhm.
and so she's able to really relay her feelings about what she was feeling. And immediately I think about my son who
Sure.
has gone through addiction, and I'm like, I don't know any of that. Like all I know is what he's told me, and I don't know his thought process and his feelings about all that stuff. That was truly insightful. And if you're a parent listening, I definitely want to encourage you to read it because it will help you truly understand that what you think is happening is not what's happening.
Right.
It's not the thought process going through their head.
Right.
And you see the separation and how that keeps you from helping each other and
Right.
from understanding each other. So that was huge. Yeah, I love what
Good.
you
I'm
said.
glad that it had that effect. That is the effect that I wanted to read about too. I feel like it would have been super valuable for me to have a story like that in
For
the beginning
sure.
of my journey. I had to figure all this out,
Yeah,
for years of going
yeah.
through it. Where it feels like it could have been a Cliff Notes version, like, this is what you
Mm,
should expect or think about or maybe questions to ask or, ways to look at things that are different than my own through
right.
my own lens, and,
Yeah.
because there's a lot more going on there than how I felt about it or what I was
Oh,
thinking of.
for sure. Yeah,
So,
we
yeah.
can't dig inside our child's mind to pull the stuff out, and I think that's what's most frustrating is you
Yeah.
don't know what's going on with them, and how do you reach them? I think that's probably one of the number one things parents have is how do I reach my kid?
Yeah.
Like, how do you really tap into that? What's something that you would suggest now having gone through this and actually writing the book in that format? What what would you suggest that parents really do to try to understand or try to bridge that gap?
I'm a big proponent of treatment, but if you're early in that stage, like when
Mhm,
you're just finding out they're using or you're thinking that there's a problem, I think the biggest thing is don't sit in denial of it.
mm,
Don't try to not address it with them, but don't also address it in an angry way because they're already angry and sad and all the things about what they're doing. That's why they're doing what they're doing. So we
mhm.
come at them negatively, that is going to push them further and deeper into all the yucky stuff that they're
Yeah,
already dealing with. So we
yeah,
have to come at them with compassion and That's really hard because when we find out our kids using drugs, this is a big deal and it tends to bring up a lot of big emotions in the parent.
Yeah.
Don't do that. We're trying to be parents. We're telling you you can't do this or you shouldn't do this. They already know that. They already know that.
Yeah.
But
I
there's a
think we
reason to
we
doing
lead
it.
with fear, right? We're
Oh, for
leading with
sure.
fear because we don't it's an instant reaction. We don't know how else to process that. But I think the tools like someone reading your book, or I know you mentioned in the book, when you started to do the 12 steps, like as in your parent groups, and you're like, why don't they teach this in school? I swear the exact sentence came out of my mouth. Like, I don't know how many times. This is, I don't get it. Like, if I knew why this isn't being taught to younger children, so that they're able to process. And this has nothing to do with, this has nothing to do with, I'm just going to say God or spirituality type thing. The 12 steps, if you take that component out, it is a big component because your higher power means a lot. But there are some steps in there that young school children need to learn so that
Yeah.
they can process their emotions properly
Yes.
and take personal responsibility.
Yes.
It's so huge, right?
It's huge. And I didn't
Yeah.
know anything about the 12 steps. I didn't even know what they were.
I didn't either.
So diving in, I did it thinking I was doing it for my daughter so I could better understand what she's learning in her
Yeah.
recovery. And I wanted to be able to communicate well with her. And then what it turned out, not it, I mean, yes, it allowed me to do that, but it turned out to be completely for my own benefit.
Yeah.
And it changed me
Yeah.
so much. And, it changed the way I viewed her. It changed the way I viewed our relationship. It shifted everything. And yeah, I can't believe that something is it's really so basic
Yeah.
if you think about it, but it's a way of life. It's a really healthy way of life.
Yeah.
And, you know, we always hear like, say sorry when you hurt someone. Like that's in there, right? Like
I
take
know.
responsibility for your actions, make amends to people when you hurt them, try to do better,
Yeah.
you know?
And there's power in simplicity. It's so powerful, but it seems so simple that people
Yes.
overlook what it can do for
Right.
you. Like you, it completely changed my life too.
Well,
Like
that's wonderful.
when I was reading your words, I'm I'm revisiting those things in my head because I had done the same thing. I started doing the 12 steps and jumping into recovery of my own, which honestly, I would have been the first person that said, I don't need recovery. I don't know
Right.
what you're talking about. I got this under control. Clearly, I did not. But, you
Right.
know, isn't that
Right.
the way that?
Yes, control is an illusion, but
Yes.
what I did notice was there were a lot of my parent group meetings were, I mean, 30, 40 plus parents. So this was a
Yeah.
big group. And there were very few that wanted to or actually got a sponsor and did the 12 steps for themselves.
Really?
Yes, and, after going
Wow.
through it, I was like, "Why not? Why is
Yeah.
this such a roadblock for so many people?" I don't have an answer for that other than there is a lot of people who say, "It's not my problem. They're the one that has the problem,
Yeah.
so why do I have to do all of these things?" But, if you value that person and you value that relationship, I think you'll do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit to the shame and guilt that comes up? And that's probably a roadblock. How did that feel for you?
Well, that's definitely a roadblock to even, first of all, telling anyone.
Mhm.
You isolate because of shame and guilt, thinking that you did something wrong or you caused this in some way, or that even if you don't know that you really caused it, you think other people are going to think that you did.
Yeah.
So you are not going to tell just the world. Like it took me a year and a half to say something to
Yeah.
most people about our situation. But that's a big deal, and I host parents of addicted loved ones meetings every Wednesday night in my office, and I've done that for, again, almost 6.5 years,
Wow.
and, even me just walking in the door to a support group meeting, it was the most painful thing I think I I did the first time. I didn't wanna
Mhm.
be there, I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't want people looking at me, I didn't want to know what they were thinking of. I had so many misconceptions about what it even was
Yeah.
that I hated it. I went in the first time, I stayed, and then I left and said, I'm never doing that again. And
Yeah.
then my daughter's counselor encouraged me to keep going. But I phoned into their meetings and it was just parents, and that was helpful, more
Mhm.
helpful and more welcoming to me because I knew they were like me, and
Yeah.
they're there for the same reason that I was there. So
Yeah.
that was helpful. And that helped eventually peel back some of that guilt and shame because those people who had been on this journey ahead of me didn't have a lot of that. They were open and they were talking about their experiences and
Hmm.
they were sharing and they were trying to be helpful and give hope. And so it's hard to give hope if you still feel shame.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I did have the same misconceptions too
Yeah.
about what meetings were going to be. I've done both um parent meetings and Al-Anon. So I currently am in Al-Anon, and it took me a few meetings because I felt like everyone was going to judge me. I didn't understand. I didn't want to say anything. Um, but I ended up finding a group, and it was the people that kept me there. It
For
was
sure.
specifically finding my people, right? Does that make
Oh,
sense?
oh yeah. And that's my biggest advice to any parent who is and on any part of this journey is to go find your people.
Yeah,
There's nothing like finding a group of other parents who make you feel human and like you're not the most horrible person in the world, that you didn't do this to your child. We all love our children.
yeah,
Every one of us has the best intentions for our children. And because our children make choices that we don't like or we wish they wouldn't make, does not necessarily mean that we did that to them.
yeah.
There are lots of things and reasons why people use drugs and alcohol,
Hmm.
and it doesn't always stem from what the parent did or didn't do. In fact, I would assert most of the time it's not because of what the parent did or didn't do. It's
Right.
something traumatic that happened to that child that was perceived as traumatic, and the drugs and alcohol are simply their way of escaping those hard emotions
Yeah.
that they don't know how to process.
Yeah,
So,
100%. I think so too. Just something out of the book that I kind of picked up was that it's really easy to ignore the red flags when
oh,
you're in the beginning stages, and how you don't want to look at the negative stuff, so you just make excuses. And
oh,
how can parents really educate themselves and put themselves in a position that if this happens, and God willing it doesn't, but if
yeah.
it does, how do we prepare ourselves to really get out of our own way kind of and acknowledge the signs at least, right?
Yeah, well, denial's our best friend, I think, in the beginning because we just
Yeah.
we just have trouble as parents believing that this is actually happening in
Yeah.
our family or with our child or anyone that we love. But it doesn't serve you to stay in that very long. What
Hmm.
what will serve you is action. So whether it's finding a counselor, finding a support group, finding a mentor or somebody that can help talk to your child in a way that they'll listen, because a lot of times we talk at them. They don't want to hear it from us
Hmm.
as parents. We've got to find somebody else that they might listen to or might want to listen to. If it's to the point and they're not quite 18 yet, I mean, there are treatments for adolescents that can help sort of intervene, even if they're not completely addicted. Maybe
Right.
they're just abusing drugs and but they're going down that road and and you're seeing it. I don't think treatment should be off the table. I think it would be fine to find a
Hmm.
treatment center that's willing to mentor your child and educate them on what they're doing and how it's affecting their lives and what eventually happens if it gets out of control. A
Yeah.
lot of kids in pathway where my daughter went to treatment uh, didn't end up necessarily becoming addicts, but they were going down that road and they were getting
Right.
into a lot of trouble. And the program helped straighten them out and keep them sober long enough for their brain to form a little bit longer. And so, because you're damaging the brain.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so it gets into a point where they're making better decisions. They're being more mindful about what they're doing, whether it's alcohol, marijuana, or whatever. And maybe they don't use any of the hard stuff anymore after that. But it definitely gives them the tools they need to make better decisions.
Right.
And some age helps there too. So highly recommend that. But just don't stay in denial. And if nothing else, get yourself to an Al-Anon meeting because there's a lot of education that comes from those meetings
Yeah.
as well. It's not just finding the people, but they will
Right.
teach you a lot about addiction and
Hmm.
the process and things to do and say and um, even how to move on with your own life.
Well, honestly, I am so grateful that you agreed to come on and talk. It is, and for a lot of reasons, I understand this. It's very difficult to get parents to talk about their
Yes,
experiences.
it is.
And I'm so grateful that you and your daughter are in a place where you do speak out and you do speaking engagements and you help other people that may not have the resources because there's so many parents going through this. Addiction is just an epidemic. And
Yes,
for every person that's addicted, there are two parents at least that love them
right.
and are, fighting their own battles with this. And we need more people to speak up. And so I'm so grateful.
I agree. I wish there were more people that were willing to speak up.
Mhm.
There's kind of from what I've gathered in this 7 years I've been doing this, there's a lot of parents who will come to meetings and come get help when the crisis is happening.
Right.
And when they get through the crisis, they stop. And it
Yeah.
really breaks my heart. Like if you're good, you're good. But the whole thing about the 12-step program is to get through the crisis, right? Take a look at yourself, do all the accountability stuff, and then bring those buckets of water back for those who are just starting on their journey or somewhere in the middle of it. And I wish more of us would do that. There's a lot of people
Mhm.
in recovery that do that. You see people in AA for 30, 40 years. That's what they're doing. And they're really giving back to the people coming in the doors for the first
Uh-huh.
time. And I mean, we can do that as parents too. But I'm thinking maybe they're still stuck with some shame and guilt in there,
Mhm.
and they can't bring themselves to just keep coming and keep giving back and pouring back. So I'm a very busy practitioner, and so the one thing that I keep thinking I need to give up is my Wednesday night meetings because my days are very long during the week. And every time I have a meeting and I'm in the room with these parents that I've grown to love, whether they've just walked in the door or they've been with me for a few
Yeah.
years, I can't let it go. It's the most heartwarming thing that I think I do most weeks, and I'm probably doing forever, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I attend regular meetings. I'm
Mhm.
just currently in my second round of doing the steps.
Oh, good.
And you know what? You learn something new I don't think we
Different.
ever stop this journey.
No,
And if you think that you are, oh, I'm good and I'm healed or whatever.
you're
And
not
then you're lying to yourself because
right.
life happens. Things keep coming up. But
Uh-huh.
it's such a gift to be able to have that support system and that group in my life. I've made such good
Yes.
friends there. And
Yes,
for me, it's a lifeline. And I
it
think if
is.
I stopped going, it would only be a matter of weeks before I felt like I've lost that lifeline, you know?
I agree.
So
I
that's
agree. And
so
I think it's
crucial.
the best. It's the best part. It's this club, right, that we didn't ever wanna join. We didn't
Yeah.
ask to join, but here we are, and there's a club of us, but it really is truly a family when you find your group and you find
Yes.
your people, and that is why people stay in it for so long,
Yeah.
because it's our people, and they
Yeah.
get us, and we get them, and not everyone on the outside, if they haven't gone through what we've gone through, it's not that they can't try to understand, but they don't get us. They don't get
Yeah.
us like we get each other, and that's a bond that forms very quickly, and I think it stays.
Yeah.
So, I love it. I'm so glad you're going through it again because there's so
Yeah.
much to learn throughout different
There's so
phases of
much to
our life.
learn.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks different each time
It
you go
does.
again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm loving it for sure. Well,
Well,
tell me just a little bit before we wrap up about what you and your daughter do now and
okay.
how you guys are doing.
Yeah, so we are brain healers mostly, and that is stemming from when you're putting drugs and alcohol into your body, and really any medication, it is damaging your brain in some
Yeah.
way. So when she went into treatment, this treatment center required no drugs whatsoever, like no medications at all,
Right.
completely clean and sober off everything. So so that was kind of that perked me up. I had always been sort of a essential oil person since my kids were pretty young, like elementary school. So I was very sort of anti-pharmaceutical anyway,
Hmm.
but this sort of solidified, okay, my daughter has a drug addiction. These things are really bad for your body, but they're also bad for your brain. I came across a brain healing technology completely randomly, but it
Hmm.
truly was a God thing. I had seen it about a year right after I kicked my daughter out. Um, and then her crisis took over and I forgot about it, but then it came back around after
Hmm.
she got sober the second time. So within an 18-month period, randomly, this gentleman was wanting to use this microcurrent neurofeedback system to help people stay
Hmm.
sober, people in recovery. And my daughter was about 6 months sober at that time, the second time around. And it was something that I was really interested in doing. And I badgered him enough that he hired me and trained me. And I worked for him for a year doing this. But my daughter was my first client. He let me practice on her.
Yeah.
And it was so incredibly helpful for her. It was
Hmm.
the first time she felt real joy after getting sober, and that is a big problem for people in early recovery as well. Their brain is recalibrating their
Yeah.
pleasure reward system. It's difficult to feel any sort of joy for about a year
Oh,
and
wow.
after being sober, like completely
Yeah.
sober. And very few people can really get through a year without being able to feel true joy.
Hmm.
So it is a problem, but our system helps the brain to rebalance itself and it starts to function much better very quickly. And so that all kind of rebalances itself out
Right.
much quicker. So it was very effective for her. And I went on, I worked for him for a year and then I opened my own practice 5.5 years ago. And I've been on my own ever since. And about 3 years ago, my daughter she had done a lot of things and it's in the book too. She worked for an adolescent recovery
Okay.
program for a while here that had a lot of parallels to the one that she had experienced in
Right.
Arizona. But somewhere in that experience, she came to me and asked if she could do what I do because she knew how well it worked.
Yeah.
And to me, I was shocked actually. I didn't ever expect that to happen. I really didn't. And we were very close by then, but
Yeah.
still just I didn't see that coming. But
Kind of like a full
I
circle moment, right?
really was. And
Yeah.
I was kind of
That's
like, you
amazing.
really do? Okay. But so anyway, I had her trained and she shadowed me for a while and she's been on her own now for 3 years, and I told her, like, "I wanna work with you, but I do not wanna be your boss. Like, I do not want this to be that kind of relationship. I wanna be an equal with you, a peer with you, a coworker with you, and share this with you in that way. I don't wanna be in charge of you." And
Yeah.
that has worked out really, really well, and she has grown so much by just being a
Amazing.
healer and helping people and giving her personal history
Yeah.
and experiences. She's young, she just turned 25, and she sees people of all ages. So
Yeah.
she'll sometimes get a side eye look from an older person that comes in and we're going to have a session with her. But as soon as she opens her mouth and they start talking, they fall in love with her because
Yeah.
like she's not just some kid with no life experience. She's really been through it and she is so relatable and
Yeah.
she's
Wise
done
beyond her
a lot of
years.
healing. Yeah, oh, she is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she's done a lot of work, to get to where
Yeah.
she is. A lot of trauma
Yeah.
counseling and a lot of things. So,
Good for
so
her.
she is, and she continues to prioritize her mental health,
Yep.
to this day, and it shows. So she's gonna take this over when I'm dead and gone, and she's
Yeah.
gonna probably do really amazing things with it after I'm gone. But I'm so grateful that
That's
we're
an
here.
awesome, yeah,
Yeah,
awesome success story. I just love hearing that. And
that's cool.
I think that there's so many people who go through substance abuse and come out the other side and have such incredible gifts for the world. Like,
Yes.
absolutely, their souls just light the way. And I truly believe that the people who are suffering in this disease right now are the people who are trying to wake us up. They're
Yeah.
trying to tell us something that we need to pay attention to. And when you see those same people get clean and sober, you realize what their souls are there for. Like they have a purpose on this earth, right? And so
Absolutely.
it's so
Absolutely.
powerful when you think about it that way. It makes me
Yeah.
emotional.
I know it's the coolest thing. I've some
Yeah.
of the best people I've ever met have been people in recovery.
Oh,
And,
me too.
I mean, the population itself, they're deep feelers, they're super creative and
Yes.
sensitive and just would do anything for you. They're givers,
Yes.
for the most I'm generalizing, but for the most part, they're just the
Yeah.
most wonderful people you'll ever meet. And they've just had a rough time and they just didn't cope with it well. And that's really it. They're not bad people. They are not those people. I cannot stand when somebody refers to them as
I
those
know.
people because that's not who they are. They're just human just like us. They just
Yeah.
have hurts that they're trying to figure out how to deal with and got into
Well
trouble.
said. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much. And where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me at ourbeautifulrecovery.com. That's my
Hmm.
website. And you can find the book links there to Amazon and Goodreads. And I believe Barnes and Noble online is on there too.
Yep.
Uh, Same with I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I'm on Facebook. You can look for Janelle Martin author or Our Beautiful Recovery. You will find me in those three places. And then our business is called The Mind Connection. We are a
Hmm.
brain health center. So that website is tmcbrainhealthcenter.com. And that has
Okay.
more information about the therapies that we offer and brain healing and all the professional stuff that we do together.
Yeah.
And then we're also on all three platforms, the Mind Connection. So I'm
Awesome.
doing videos there and some things. So
Yeah.
so check us out and follow us and maybe you'll learn something. And if you need to reach out, we would love to hear from you and answer any questions.
That's amazing. Do you do work online with clients as well?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
like
do.
virtually?
I can do some things virtually, but I
Okay.
cannot do the brain healing virtually. That
Right.
has to be in person. So,
Okay.
but yes, I can do brain spotting, which is trauma therapy virtually. I can do counseling virtually. We can do brain health assessments virtually as well. So several things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. That's amazing. Well, I will put all of that in the show notes and people can grab your book and they can even read it on Kobo too on like an e-reader. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
very accessible.
Yes.
Yeah, and so any parting words from you that you'd like to say?
Um, I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. I know I'm maybe not going to get out there before the holidays, but it can be a really hard time for families with
Yeah, it
addicted
can be.
loved ones. And take it easy on yourself, be kind to yourself. And, if you need hope, read my book.
That's
You
amazing. Yes, read
know.
it. It's really good. And I'm not quite finished it, so I'm actually gonna finish it today. So
Good.
it was great. And I love the resources that people put out from their heart and it truly can change someone's life. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
And I would absolutely love to have you on again. I would really love to have you and your daughter come on.
Okay.
I
She's
think that would be
willing.
amazing. And it's so powerful for people to hear both sides of the story and of that journey and what it takes to actually come out the other side, So
I
thank you.
agree. I
Yeah.
agree. We would love to, and I know she would do it. So
Yeah.
we'll have to get it on the schedule.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Janelle. And I hope you have a wonderful day.
You
And
too.
it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on another episode of Becoming Sound. If this episode resonated with you in some way, please share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It helps to get this information out to more people who may need it. If you have a sec, I would love a follow on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. While you're there, hit the 5-star rating and give me a review. When you're scrolling, follow me on my social platforms, and I would love to hear your comments and feedback. Have a fabulous day, lots of love and gratitude from me. Please note, the views, information, and opinions expressed during the Becoming Sound podcast series are solely those of the individuals involved. The content of this podcast is to educate, inform, and for entertainment purposes only. This podcast series and the content presented does not constitute for medical or other professional advice or services. If you are in crisis or in need of help, please contact your medical or professional provider.